in this review a question, a reminder. What is a combat, or as I've always called it, go-to-war handgun? I hear you guys talking. I like it. Reliable, accurate, proven track record. I hear you. I'm going to add this, that you can shoot it well. That you connect with it. You like it. It just interfaces with you perfectly. Well, maybe not perfectly, but you can adapt to its idiosyncrasies and end up shooting it very well. Now, if that's the standard of measure, for me, that's a go-to-war handgun. I said as much in my review of the Sig P250. Now, before you get excited, I've read a lot online about the Sig P250. Not much good. In fact, pretty much it's all bad. I think mine is the only positive review on that gun ever. I could be wrong. I didn't look everywhere in all the corners of the internet. I never will. Not interested. But from reading the comments, from reading multiple pages about for an hour, it seems like I'm the only one that can shoot this handgun well. I'm not saying that in a braggadocious fashion, but no one seems to be able to master the trigger on the Sig P250. I don't think it's that hard. I mean, if you can shoot a revolver well, you should surely be able to adapt to that gun. But a lot of people complain. And I really wasn't even going to do this review on the Sig P320, but man, you guys were relentless in requesting it. So this is a by request tabletop review on its brother, the Sig P320. We got some other guns on the table. We will talk about those. They will enter the discussion. I think you'll like it. This is feature length, probably. No promises. If I had my choices, I would make it super quick and just reference this review. Sig P250. The guns are very similar in a lot of ways. Also, clicking around on the internet, I really didn't see that. I didn't see a lot of people in their reviews of this gun, because mine on the 320, this gun here, the white, by the way, denotes the P250, so you don't get confused, because they look alike, right? Fairly similar. Granted, this has a bobbed hammer, this is striker, but they're pretty similar. Same frame. But I didn't see a lot of people referencing this gun. It's almost like this is toxic, and to be cool, you cannot reference it in this gun, even though their ergonomics are almost, at least in the grip, the angle of the grip, are identical. So funny. You don't get that here in TMP. I just shoot straight, tell the truth, give you my opinions, and you will get that, I promise. You will get whether I would buy a P320 if it's worth it, and we're going to compare it against the plethora of guns there, and some waiting in the wings for an interesting discussion. The biggest complaint, of course, and let's jump right into SAWC Design and Ergos on the P320, this gun. Let's put it center stage because it deserves it. We actually shot 3 for you guys. Big thanks to Eric P, by the way. TMPer. He is the owner of these 2 guns, loaned for the review. I really, really like doing it that way these days. A third party supporting TMP. You know, temporarily loaning us the guns. That's cool. I like it. So I'm not associated with the manufacturer. I'm not getting money under the table like you see a lot these days in YouTube. I don't care. I never will do that. Never have done that. You get the truth that way. Cool. Okay, so SAWC Design and Ergos. This, I think, is the compact version, P320 compact. They have 4 versions, full size, subcompact, compact, and carry versions of the Sig P320. I hope I don't say P250 during the review, but I could. We were talking about the trigger. Let's go back to this gun, the P250. Super quick. Shoots like a double action only revolver because it is double action only. You know what it reminds me of, the trigger on this? The Ruger LCR. And I can shoot the Ruger LCR pretty good. I mean, to an 8-inch plate to 25 yards. Go watch the running guns in the, you know, trench warfare drills we did years ago, like 5 years ago here in TMP. It's a matter of mastering the trigger. At the top of the screen, you'll see, what was that couple's name? John and Tristina. I taught them how to shoot the Sig P250 and watch their results after only 30 minutes of instruction. Not that hard. But apparently, guys, no one gets it on the P250. Is this the best trigger in the world? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying a DAO trigger is all that. I'm just saying that a skilled marksman, someone who practices with it, should be able to get good with it. And it still to this day mystifies me. No one did it. And so Sig responded, here's the answer. With the Sig P320 and its partially tensioned striker trigger design. Let's pull it right out the gate, shall we? And by the way, I have a brand new Lyman digital trigger scale because the other one broke on camera. Watch for that review. Pretty funny. Thought it was a battery? It wasn't. It totally died. What do you guys think this will pull at? And we have to center pretty much on the trigger, don't we? Because as we'll see, the ergonomics are very similar, discounting the trigger, between the 250 and the 320. What do you think it pulls at? You non-320 owners? Guys who already have one probably know. Not quite as light as you might think. 715. Let's try it again. And by the way, it's a pivoting trigger design, so if I pull it higher on the trigger face, it's going to be a higher trigger pull. If I go lower with more leverage, it will be lower. So let me see what I can pull on the very bottom of the trigger face. 7.3. See what I mean? It's a good trigger. Is it the best you've ever shot, Nutton? I mean, seriously, it's awesome, right? Well, let's talk about it. My overall feel on the on the Sig, I should call it the Pig 320. That's pretty funny. The Sig P320, it's okay. Well, I'm not totally in love with it. If you want me to be honest, and I always am, I'm not. It's okay. It doesn't seem to be particularly crisp to me. Kind of mushy. It's okay. If I were to rate just the trigger alone, not the whole pistol as a whole, 7 out of 10. And yeah, it's okay. I shot it okay, and I shot it a lot actually. Between the 320s that we had, we put some rounds down range. Crew and myself, Bad came out and helped me. I went out on 2 outings, shot it. It's okay. And let me throw this in real quick. Sometimes people, and I've said this in other reviews, get really wrapped around the axle about trigger reset. And for my own shooting, I see it used as an excuse for them sucking. Yeah, seriously. They can't hit, and so they blame the reset. Well, this pistol has a different reset than I'm used to. No. Your marksmanship fundamentals suck, dude. There I am keeping it real again. Sorry. Well, actually, I'm not sorry. That's the truth. That's why I don't obsess about it. Any one of these guns on the table, you should be able to adapt to and shoot well. You don't know if you're going to be fighting with your handgun. You might be fighting with a loner, one you found. How do you know? So you can only adapt to Glocks? Come on now. But since some guys obsess about it, we'll look at it. So if you're going to shoot to reset, pretty short. Could you train that way? Sure. Usually because I shoot all types of handguns, I'll come further forward. I think really, and this is just my opinion, that's all, and that's what you're watching this for, you know, my opinion, I think it counts with competitors who are really good, where, like I've said lots of times before, tenths of seconds, hundredths of seconds can make the difference between a match being lost or won. That's where trigger reset, I think, is important. To full-time shooters, to really active competitive shooters. Military people, nope. Law enforcement, nope. Civilians and WROL, nope. Not that important. Not. Rant complete. Yeah, I could go on and on, but I won't. The trigger's good. It's not amazing. It's okay. Let me give you for instance, and here's the XDM on the table, right? I love the XDM. Love it, love it, love it. I shoot it good. I think most of you do. It's an easy pistol to shoot well. It does have a safety paddle in that trigger, the XDM, XD series. So does the Glock. I don't mind that. I do mind this. I've never really dug that feature of the XDMs. But we're comparing triggers. I would say I like this trigger better. And this is a completely stock XDM trigger. This one in here, this is an XDM 40. I think it's a Springer Precision. Oh, dude, that's a nice trigger. Nice. Better than the P320. It just is. But that is my opinion and in my shooting way of shooting. Overall, people are saying with the 320, they shoot it a lot better than the P250. Let's jump into POU because we're talking about trigger manipulation here. What is the most important thing when you're shooting your handgun? Well, let's say you have to draw it, you have to defend your life with it. What is the most important thing? If someone said hitting what you're shooting at, congratulations. That is correct. Hitting what you're shooting at is the most important thing. Manipulating a trigger quickly and missing a lot does not count for anything. Let's go back to the 1970s. Triggers like the Sig P250 were commonplace when the Smith & Wesson and the Ruger pistols, I'm talking revolvers better said, ruled the law enforcement community. They often hit what they were shooting at. Granted, sometimes they would go to single action, but generally not so much. The point being is people can hit in double action if they're trained to do so. In this modern day, I think sometimes we're a little bit spoiled and we say, hey, unless it's pulling at 5 pounds, 4 pounds crisp, I don't want it, I'm not interested. I understand it. I too am a trigger snob. I've said that. I'm an admitted trigger snob. But at the same time, I take pride in being able to master a weapon and shoot it well. And to do what? Hit what we're shooting at. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm comparing and contrast the 250 with the 320. Shooting fast is not necessarily hitting what you're shooting at. That's the point. You may not be able to shoot accurately the P250 as fast as this one, but if you're trained with it, you may be just as accurate, if not more accurate. That's my point. Watch that video I told you about John and Tristina. They were brand new, never shot the gun before, and they're doing it. I'm still defending the 250. I think it's a good gun. And we had 0 malfunctions, talking of track record. I read somewhere it's like, oh, the P250 is garbage. What? Not from what I've seen. Not at all. Sample of 2, granted. This and another gun. So, it's not all that. Philosophy of use, though. Defensive gun. Which one would you rather have in a defensive encounter? Nutnfancy. Really, before I got these two guns in inventory, I was really thinking, oh, total 320 all the way. Now, after shooting it, I actually shoot the P250 a little bit better. I know, that sounds crazy, right? This one, I think it was a full size, was thrown around. I have just a couple targets to show you. I mean, it was accurate. Bad shot it accurately. People are raving about the accuracy. I think the accuracy between the two guns is identical. I'm talking about the barrel quality, the lockup, all that's the same. Really, we're just talking about trigger manipulation. I would be very happy going to war with that gun and this gun. I like the 320. I'm just not raving about it. That's another point I want to talk about. Philosophy of use, home defense, super quick, carry gun. The subcompact is only 1.1 inches wide. It's 25 ounces. It's a player. I could think of other guns I'd prefer to carry. XDS, PPS, Glock 43, Shield. But it's a player. Go watch my video posted like 20 years ago. I'm kidding. But it seems like it. Compact it ain't. Top of the screen. Where I was so tired of hearing that guns like this are a great carry choice. Because they're just too fat. And I talk about that in that video. And all the philosophy I laid down in that video still plays. They're too chunky. Your most important dimension, width. Usually. So, too chunky. This one weighs 26 ounces. The full size weighs 29 ounces. And here's a funny thing. I was like, well, the Sig is going to be pretty light, isn't it? Well, 29 ounces. It's not too far off of this gun, which I love. This is a West German E2, Eat Your Heart Out 226. Love it. Hey, which one would you choose between the two of them? Yeah, we'll get to that later. XDM. Which one do you think weighs more? XDM and 9. This is an 18 round mag, by the way. Oh, 19. I forgot. It has a longer grip. I mean, Granted, it does. Which is heavier? The weight is identical between these two guns. Kind of crazy, huh? Yeah, so carry gun, probably not. Home defense, good. Vehicle, yep. WROL, yeah, these are, I'm going to put these guns in my, you know, best go-to-war handguns, GTW handguns. They've earned it. They're good guns. I'm just not raving about it. That's all I'm saying, man. I can't. I can't fake excitement if I don't have it. So, we all know this, and this is again in the original P250 review. It has a fire control unit which is swappable, and that is the selling point on the P250, and for that matter the 320, right? Where you can buy one gun and have one FCU, and then if you want to interchange it between grip modules, you can. And by the way, these are only 46 bucks to do so. Good on you, Sig. That's awesome. So you could change it out. Now granted, you may have to change the slide in the barrel too if you change lengths and stuff, and it gets more expensive, but that is the idea behind it. Here's what I say. Caliber interchanges are hokey. Yes, I said it, and I've said it in other reviews, but perhaps not that clearly. They're hokey for at least people who live in the majority of the United States. Now, they make sense in jurisdictions, locales, countries, where getting a serial number is a big deal. And so you can't just have multiple handguns. I think in those situations, maybe they make sense. Maybe. Here's why I say maybe. Because I think even in those situations, people buy one caliber, one handgun, and they forget about it. If you do a caliber interchange kit, how much are those? Like $375, something like that, maybe $400-ish if you buy it off the Sig website directly. Why not just buy a new gun? You know, I think it's kind of a hokey marketing tool. Whether you're talking pistols, you're talking AR-15 rifles. Hey, you can interchange calibers. No one does it. It's too expensive. If it cost $150 for a full caliber interchange, then we're talking about something different. We're not, though. It's expensive. Most people would prefer to just go out and get a different gun. Well, this user did. Eric did. So this is his full size. So did he just buy this is a perfect example, and it just came to me. So he bought a full size, and he goes, you know what? I think I'm going to get an FDE compact as well. And he did. He didn't just get a caliber interchange. So there's an example right in front of you. Hokey. Yeah, and I think it's much more interesting and fun, if we talk about the recreational philosophy of use, to get something totally different. So I'd get this. Maybe I would get an XDM. Just to compare and contrast. Shoot them both for a year. You know, maybe you don't like one or the other, you get rid of it, or maybe you love them both and you keep them both. You know, if you're talking about a WROL system, you know, it's better to go with one handgun system, one set of magazines. I agree with that, totally. Let's look at it point by point, though. I mean, we may bounce back to philosophy of use. Philosophy of use, maybe we won't. A selling point of both the 250 and the 320, and yeah, I keep saying the 250 because I want to include it in the review. It's, again, very similar gun, just different triggers. That's all we're talking about. Is that both are ambidextrous pistols, and that is a big selling point. They already have ambi slide releases right here. You can swap this mag catch out very simply with a paper clip. So lefties, you should consider this gun. Let's take a look at that XDM. Hey, that's not like that. Not so much. You know, it's got dual mag catch or dual mag release button. One on each side, obviously, but not so much for the slide release. Ambidextrous pistol, lefties, absolutely. The grip, I still love. I said it when I reviewed the 250, and it is identical to the 320. I read one comment where the guy was like, yeah, I had a P250 and I couldn't hit anything with it, and the ergos on it sucked, but my 320, I can shoot all day long and hit a lot with it. It's awesome. I'm like, dude, it's the same grip module. You just suck at the trigger. Sorry, I gotta say it. Get good with the trigger. Going back to that rant, sorry. But the grip module is identical. I love the neutral grip angle. I love the stippling on the 320. Perfect. Mag release button is triangular, just as we saw in this one. Excellent. Easily swapped. Nice. I love the square trigger guard. Plenty of room. This is all Sig. Undercut frame here. I shouldn't say frame, but the grip module. 1913 rail. I do prefer the slide milling on the 320 over the 250. That's right. I like that milling in the front and back. It looks cool. If you want to press check forward, I never do that. You can. More importantly, I like the tapering milling on the 320. That looks good. By way of reference, here's a 250. See how blocky it is? Very Sig-ish. Maybe not quite as functional. Slide serrations, very Sig as well. Minor differences. You know, the lockups, all Sig. The widths, by the way, in case you're wondering, are identical. Chunky. Sigs have always been chunky. How about the sights? Sig light sights, and they're excellent. No issues whatsoever. I did note shooting the 320, like I said, in 1 or 2 sessions, I'm trying to remember, it seemed like it was shooting very high for me, one of these guns. I think it was the full size. I don't know if it was me or not. I wasn't rested, it was standing. But the Sig light sights are great by way of comparison. The not 320, but the 250 came with them as well. Let's remind ourselves, by the way, how much that one cost. This one we bought, TMP bought, for $319. It was a Sig Red Label. If you can find them, good luck. Buy it. It's lightly used, and NS for night sights. That's a good deal. Good deal. Design, features, and ergonomics. No hammer on this, of course, because it is striker fired. There's your extractor. I mean, I'm looking at this gun and I get it confused with a 250. That's why I had to put the white tape on it. They look so similar. I don't know, very similar. And I loved the ergonomics on that one. Some people are complaining about the higher bore axis of this gun. I say if you're complaining about it on the 320, you probably ought to complain about the XDM because they're about the same in my own shooting, my own perception. Now this does have a fire control unit that does not seat all the way down into the magazine well. Therefore, maybe that slide rides a little bit higher. Let's compare it against and this is a very non-scientific test by the way, a 226. Let's see. I'm going to line up the bottom of the rails here. Yeah, it's a little bit higher from this totally non-scientific test. Did it hamper my own shooting with it? No, not really. We'll do field strip right here. It's super easy. It always is with Glocks and Sigs. It's so nice. You don't have to pull the trigger for field strip, by the way. You don't. I've never had a problem with that. Some people do. I've said it so many times. Enough said. Steel guide rod. In this version, it is a flat single spring. In the 320C, it is a double captive spring, just like you see in the Glock 26s and 27s, because it has a shorter travel. There's the barrel. There are threaded barrel versions. I think of this. I didn't dig that hard. There's going to be a nice aftermarket for the 320, I believe. I think it will be a very successful design for Sig. And here's your fire control unit. Super easy to take out. You just push out your rotate and push out your takedown pin, and you can lift this out and put it in your other grip module if you so desire. Incidentally, if you have a 250, you go, hey, can I just get, you know, the fire control unit and then put in my 250 and then I have a striker fired 250? The answer is no. These two pieces go together. This is the striker firing assembly contained in the slide of the Sig P320. You can see it right there. Very Glock-like in some ways. It's a striker fire design. You can't. You're going to have both pieces. So if you really, really hate your 250, sell it. Get a 320 if you haven't already. I think the quality overall is nice. Nitride coated stainless steel slide. Great ambi gun. And firepower is adequate. Actually excellent at 17 rounds. Out there. Granted, the XDM beats it by 2 rounds, but who's counting? Well, you are Nutnfancy. Yeah, I am, kind of. Mags are about $46 direct off the Sig website. I looked tonight. So that's about in the ballpark for any pistol you buy. No, I have no issues with that at all. How about track record? Sig P320. I shot both of these guns and another one just like this one. 100% reliability, except I did have one light primer strike. The ammo was tacticalammunition.com FMJ. It's been reliable in every other pistol I've shot. Was it ammunition related? I don't know. It just happened. I'll show you the video if I can find it. Only if I can find it. I have heard complaints that if you put a threaded barrel on them, you shoot a suppressor, a can on it, they don't cycle that well. I got no experience on that. I'll just throw that out. But there you go. How about accuracy? Okay, this is me with a Sig P320 Fiocchi 124 grain. Those were not plus Ps. I thought they were at the time. They're not. They're just standard pressure. This is 10 yards standing up in the mountains, the desert mountains. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And that is Bad's ammo. I think it was HPR Black Ops ammo is what he told me, so I wrote that down. It shot good. Fiocchi's really good ammo. This stuff is insane. The Federal Premium HST, super accurate. But there's that one round kind of going high. Bad shot really nice on this. It's a little bit closer. This is 7 yards for Bad. I have to move him in so he can hit good. I'm just kidding. Dude shoots fine. Real nice group there. He got an up arrow for all these. Great group, great group, great group. These are PMC shots. And then, I don't have the paper, but here comes some on-screen results of the P320 when I took it up on the KTM 690 in a beautiful mountain area. Shot with it. Again, it shot well, but I did not find the gun magical for me. And I've shot a lot of guns, a lot of go-to-war handguns, and my initial interfacing with the 320 wasn't like magical. That's all I can say. With some other guns, I can say it is. 226 is that way. The P250 is that way. Canik TP9 that way for me. I'll leave it at that. It is very accurate though. 3 inches at 25 yards is what I would call accuracy. I don't have that paper to show you. How about accessories? Well, since it is a Sig 250 grip module, it will fit Sig P250 holsters. That's good. All kinds of holsters I would think will be coming out for this gun, specific to the gun. All kinds of leather, composite, holsters, pancake. If you want to carry it shoulder in a shorter configuration like the carry or the compact, they're out there. I would say probably your first accessory you should get is at least 4, preferably 8 magazines before the next panic sets in. Oh, it's coming. Sooner or later. Threaded barrel you could throw on there. Yep. I wouldn't change the sights out. I think they're fine. Caliber conversion. Nah. No, I wouldn't do it. I mean, there's guys running... Go watch my Glock 20 review. I talk about that. There's guys running Glock 20s that have Glock 21 sliding mags, and they're popping back and forth between those calibers all the time. And then sub-caliber conversions as well. So you can do it with Glocks. Good shooting. Now I'll take us to value and options. Let's say around $500 for a Sig P320. Your favorite flavor. My favorite, by the way, would be the full size. I don't look at this as a carry gun at all. It's going to be bedside, vehicle, go-to-war pistol. Give me full size. I really like the long sight radius, forgot to mention that, which in this version is 6.6 inches. That's cool. Let's compare it against the XDM, shall we? Sight radius only. I love those XDM sights too. See how they're serrated in the back? High presentation. I love the XDM sights. And these are stock. I never swapped them out. They're about the same. Maybe a little bit extra length on the XDM. Okay, and then we have a 5.25 runaround, and that's even more. You can put sights on it. And I'll leave it at that for accessories. How about competitive options? Well, this is where it really gets fun, boys. Hey, Nutnfancy, would you buy a Sig P320? Let me answer it like this. Sig P320 versus Glock 17. Which one would you buy, Nutton? 17. All day long. Hey, that's just because you're a Glock fan. You just love it. No, I'm a fan of things that work and that I can shoot really, really well. And for me and the trigger interface, I probably could train and get really, really good with the 320, but I'm already pretty good with a Glock series. I'd go Glock. The value's about the same. You know, there's things you can criticize about the Glock all day long. The grip angle, the trigger guard doesn't have as much room for gloved fingers. They don't like the safe action trigger. It's blocky. You're asking? I'm telling you. I would buy a Glock 17, specifically a Glock 34, before I buy a 320. And don't forget, I'm a huge Sig fan. If you don't think so, you need to catch up, bro. Because you need to go look at all my Sig pistol reviews. I have lots, but I am not. And this review totally proves it, a fanboy. I mean, just because it has a certain brand name on it doesn't mean it gets a pass, and that's what you're seeing right now. How about Sig P226, whatever version you want, whatever caliber you want, to include the P227 versus a 320, which one would you buy? Question, what's it for? Go to war gun. That is a very good question. In that situation, I would probably go with the P320 because it's lighter. Does that shock you? Not by much, but like 3 ounces or so. It's lighter. Weight is very, very important. SAWC, very, very, very important. I never discount that. There's your answer. Sig P320 versus the XDM. XDM. Sig P320 versus one more, and that's it. Canik TP9SA, which is a licensed Walther P99 copy, available at the top of the screen for an amazing price, by the way. Tell them TMP sent you. Which one would you choose, Nutnfancy? Well, let's see what this pulls at, just to remind ourselves. And I did an in-field review on the Canik TP9SA, an improvement on the original Canik, which I still like. Let's see. Honestly, I don't remember, and I don't even know if I threw a trigger scale on it. Huh. 4 pounds, 13 ounces. I like the trigger on the TP9SA a lot better than I do the Sig P320. Let's look at the width, sight radius. About the same width. You can get this one in colorations. You can on that too. I mean, I haven't really shown you this FDE version. Some people were complaining, by the way, this finish rubs off on the top. It's kind of a bronze. And I love the FDE coloration of the grip module. That's good looking. Firepower is, of course, less in these smaller versions. 15 rounds in this one. And by the way, if you're wondering, the magazines between the 320 and the P250 do interchange. So that's cool. So if you do have some laying around, excellent. See, identical. Yeah, so that may shock you that between a Sig P320 you'd go with a Canik TP9SA. Yeah, I would. I would. What's the rounds on this? I forget. It's like 17 as well, I think. Maybe 18. There you go. It's a good gun. Nothing I've said should be construed that I don't like the gun. It's cool. It's just that I'm not... You will never hear me say, oh, I'm going to go be selling off my Glocks to go get a Sig P320. I'm not. I really question people who even say that with any gun. I'm like, dude, you didn't research enough to know that the gun wasn't good enough for you. I mean, this day and age, not going back to the creation of TMP, there's been so much information out here, especially just from my project, that there's plenty of buying advice that you can find out what works for you. If you can, go hook into one, shoot it, and see if it works for you. You may find it is magical for you. You pick up a 320 and you just hit really, really good with it. I think Eric's that way. I think he loves his. The TMPer who loaned me these two guns loves them. But I'd never get that. Hey, something brighter and shinier came out and therefore I'm going to sell what I had before and get it. I say research better. It's a go-to-war pistol. Worth it. Look at my likability scale. Subject to change. See ya.
There he is. Where you been, dude?
I don't know. I had to warm up.